Brian Dorsey is on death row for killing his family members, Sarah and Ben Bonnie, in 2006.
Two actually families here, since they've been married a couple of months. They have, and yes.
General Andrew Bailey says if the court approves his request, Dorsey's execution would take place within 90 to 120 days.
Her whole life was Jade. Well, I mean, her husband Ben too, but...
The U.S. Supreme Court today paved the way for the state to go forward with Dorsey's death.
Case of Brian Dorsey. The case of Brian Dorsey, convicted of the brutal slayings of his cousin Sarah Bonnie and her husband Ben in 2006, has once again come into focus with the setting of an April ending date by the Missouri Supreme Court. This decision reignites the debate surrounding capital punishment and raises questions about the judicial process, the nature of the crime, and the ethics of state-sanctioned ending. Brian Dorsey's case is a harrowing tale of familial betrayal and violence. Convicted of the double homicide of Sarah Bonnie and her husband Ben, Dorsey's actions on that fateful night in December shook the community of Jefferson City to its core. Prosecutors painted a grim picture of events, alleging that Dorsey, in desperate need of money to pay off drug dealers, visited the Bonnies' home seeking assistance. However, instead of finding help, he committed unspeakable acts of violence. He mercilessly gunned down both Sarah and Ben before subjecting Sarah's lifeless body to further degradation through physical attack. The gruesome discovery of their bodies the following day by Sarah's parents only added to the horror of the crime. Dorsey's conviction and subsequent sentencing to demise in 2008 marked the beginning of a legal battle that has lasted for years. Despite initially pleading guilty, Dorsey later appealed his sentence, arguing that life imprisonment without parole would have been a more appropriate punishment. However, the Missouri Supreme Court, in a decision reaffirmed in 2010, upheld the demise penalty.
The Missouri Supreme Court sets an execution date for convicted killer Brian Dorsey.
Brian Dorsey is on death row for killing his family members, Sarah and Ben Bonnie, in 2006.
It's always Ben and Jade. So I know right now she would want us to just focus on Jade.
General Andrew Bailey says if the court approves his request, Dorsey's execution would take place within 90 to 120 days.
Now, with the scheduled ending date looming, the case once again garners attention, prompting reflection on the efficacy and morality of capital punishment. The decision to impose the demise penalty is a weighty matter that carries profound implications for both the perpetrator and society at large. Proponents argue that it serves as a deterrent against heinous crimes, provides justice for victims and their families, and upholds the rule of law. However, opponents raise valid concerns about the potential for wrongful convictions, the inherent bias in the criminal justice system, and the irreversibility of the demise penalty. These arguments underscore the complexity of the issue and the need for careful consideration. In Dorsey's case, the ending date serves as a stark reminder of the irreversible nature of capital punishment. Once carried out, there is no turning back. Regardless of one's stance on the demise penalty, the finality of such a decision demands true scrutiny and adherence to due process. The gravity of taking a human life, even that of a convicted criminal, cannot be overstated, and any miscarriage of justice in this regard is an affront to the principles of fairness and equality. Moreover, the setting of Dorsey's ending date raises broader questions about the efficacy of the demise penalty as a means of addressing crime and achieving justice. Despite its continued use in some states, there is ongoing debate about its effectiveness in deterring crime and its disproportionate impact on marginalized communities. Studies have shown that factors such as race, socioeconomic status, and legal representation can significantly influence who receives the demise penalty, raising questions about systemic bias and inequality within the criminal justice system. Furthermore, the emotional toll of capital punishment extends beyond the confines of the courtroom, affecting not only the families of the victims but also those of the accused. While justice for the victims is paramount, the cycle of violence perpetuated by endings can perpetuate trauma and hinder the healing process for all involved. In cases like Dorsey's, where the crime is especially heinous, finding a sense of closure and reconciliation may prove elusive, regardless of the outcome.
The Attorney General's office is asking the state Supreme Court to set an execution for a Callaway County man.
Two actually families here since they've been married a couple of months. They have, and yes.
The U.S. Supreme Court today paved the way for the state to go forward with Dorsey's death.
Her whole life was Jade. Well, I mean, her husband Ben too, but
Missouri sets April ending. The announcement of Brian J. Dorsey's ending date in April 2024 by the Missouri Supreme Court has reignited debate surrounding capital punishment, shedding light on its practice and public perception. Dorsey, now 51 years old, stands convicted for the 2006 slayings of his cousin Sarah Bonney and her husband Ben Bonney in New Bloomfield, Missouri. Their tragic demise, coupled with the impending ending, serve as a stark reminder of the complexities and controversies inherent in the demise penalty system. The case traces back to 2006 when the bodies of Sarah and Ben Bonney were discovered in their home. Prosecutors alleged that Dorsey, burdened by a debt to drug dealers, sought refuge with his cousins. Tragically, this act of kindness led to their untimely demise, with Dorsey ultimately convicted of 2 counts of first-degree slaying in Boone County in 2008. Despite exhausting all legal avenues, including appeals to the U.S. Supreme Court, Dorsey's conviction has remained steadfast. Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey's recent request for Dorsey's ending date underscores the state's commitment to carrying out the demise penalty. The scheduled ending date on April 9, 2024 marks a somber milestone in Missouri's capital punishment history, serving as the sole ending slated for the year. This decision reflects the state's unwavering stance on capital punishment, with Governor Mike Parson historically refraining from granting clemency in demise penalty cases. Missouri's role in the broader landscape of capital punishment is significant. In 2023, it was among the 5 states, including Texas, Florida, Oklahoma, and Alabama, that conducted endings. This statistic, alongside the national tally of 24 individuals executed by lethal injection, underscores the ongoing practice of capital punishment in the United States. However, these endings have not gone unnoticed, fueling debates about the fairness and efficacy of the demise penalty. Indeed, public opinion on capital punishment has evolved over the years, with a Gallup poll in November revealed that a majority of Americans still support the demise penalty. The percentage has declined from 60% a decade ago to 53% today. This shift suggests growing concerns about the fairness and application of the demise penalty, with many questioning its efficacy as a deterrent to crime. One of the central arguments against the demise penalty is the risk of wrongful convictions and irreparable harm. The possibility of executing an innocent person underscores the inherent flaws and limitations of the criminal justice system. Despite stringent legal safeguards in appeals process, the potential for error remains, raising ethical and moral questions about the irreversibility of the demise penalty. Moreover, disparities in the application of the demise penalty, particularly along racial and socio-economic lines, have raised concerns about systemic bias and inequality. Studies have consistently shown that individuals from marginalized communities are disproportionately represented on demise row, highlighting systemic injustices within the criminal justice system. Another point of contention is the cost associated with capital punishment. Legal proceedings in demise penalty cases often entail lengthy and expensive trials, appeals, and incarceration, placing a significant burden on taxpayers. This expenditure has prompted calls for reallocating resources toward crime prevention, rehabilitation, and victim support services rather than pursuing costly endings. Missouri demise penalty dynamics. In 2023, Missouri witnessed the ending of 4 individuals, although temporary stays were granted to 2 of them. Notably, no new demise sentences were imposed throughout the year. Presently, Missouri has 12 individuals on demise row, one of whom is Marcellus Khalifa Williams. Williams maintains his innocence, asserting that DNA evidence supports his claim of wrongful conviction. Despite his plea, the Missouri Attorney General's office has moved to set an ending date in his case. Williams filed a lawsuit in August, arguing that proceeding with his ending would violate his constitutional rights to due process. The situation in Missouri reflects broader trends in the United States regarding the demise penalty. Currently, 40 states have taken steps ranging from outright abolition to temporary halts in endings or no endings over the past decade. This suggests a significant shift in public attitudes towards capital punishment. The decline in support for the demise penalty is evident in recent polls. According to Gallup poll released in November, a majority of Americans now believe that the demise penalty is applied unfairly. The percentage of those in favor of capital punishment has also decreased over the past decade, dropping from 60% to 53%. This shift in public opinion underscores growing concerns about the fairness and efficacy of the demise penalty system. Marcellus Williams' case highlights some of the challenges and controversy surrounding the demise penalty. His claim of innocence, supported by DNA evidence, raises serious questions about the reliability of the criminal justice system. The decision by the Missouri Attorney General's office to pursue his end, despite these concerns, has sparked legal battles over due process and constitutional rights. Overall, Missouri's experience with the demise penalty in 2023 reflects a complex landscape marked by legal challenges, public opinion shifts, and ongoing debates over the fairness and effectiveness of capital punishment. The ending of 4 individuals, the legal battles surrounding Marcellus Williams' case, and the absence of new demise sentences all contribute to a nuanced understanding of the state of the demise penalty in Missouri and the United States as a whole. That's all for this video, folks. See you next time.